My dear friends, tonight I'll tell you a story about promises that time could not break, about love that lingers like the scent of roses in the rain. They said it was just a dream, but her hands still smelled of roses. So settle in, find your quiet corner, breathe slowly. Let this tale remind you that even when the world forgets, love remembers. This is The Promise in the Garden of Sleep. Listen closely, because some dreams whisper the truest things of all. The rain had been falling for hours when Eleanor heard it, that familiar voice whispering her name. Soft. Tender. Impossible. She sat up in bed, clutching the edge of the blanket. The window was slightly open, and the cool breeze carried the faintest scent of roses, the same fragrance her husband, Thomas, used to bring her every Sunday after church. But Thomas had been gone for 8 years. Her daughter, Claire, often told her it was just dreams, that memory sometimes plays tricks when the house grows too quiet. Still, when Eleanor reached for the glass of water on her bedside table, she froze. There, beside it, lay a single red petal. "Thomas," she whispered. Only silence answered, and the rain tapping softly like fingertips on glass. That night, she didn't sleep again. She sat awake, wondering if love could really travel through dreams. It began happening every night after that. Each time she closed her eyes, she found herself walking down a long stone path lined with white roses, not red, as Thomas always favored. White, pale as moonlight, glowing faintly in the dark. At the path's end stood a man with his back turned, tending to a bed of roses. He never looked up. He only said, "Not yet, Ellie." But soon. When she awoke, her hands smelled faintly of flowers. She told Claire the next morning, laughing softly as if it were a story. But her daughter frowned. "You're just dreaming, Mum. Don't let it worry you." Eleanor smiled, yet she couldn't explain the dirt beneath her fingernails. Dreams, she thought, aren't supposed to leave evidence. 2 days later, Eleanor invited her bridge friends for tea. The conversation flowed easily until she mentioned the dreams. "I saw him again last night," she said gently, stirring her cup. "He said the roses will bloom soon." Lillian chuckled. "Oh, Ellie, you always were the romantic. It's just your heart missing him." But then Agnes leaned forward, her wrinkled nose twitching. "Do you smell that? Roses?" The laughter stopped. The scent hung thick in the air, sweet and unmistakable. Eleanor looked down. The faint pink stains on her palms glowed softly under the sunlight. Her friends said nothing more after that. They only exchanged uneasy glances. That evening, Eleanor opened Thomas's old writing desk, something she hadn't touched since the funeral. Inside, beneath years of dust and folded papers, she found a letter addressed to her in his careful handwriting. For Ellie, to be opened when the roses bloom again. Her heart trembled. She tore it open, hands shaking. The letter was brief but full of warmth. "If dreams are all we have left, meet me there. I'll tend the garden. You just follow the scent." Eleanor pressed the paper to her chest, tears spilling freely. Could it be possible? Could love send messages through time, through sleep, through the veil that separates hearts and heaven? Claire insisted she see Dr. Raines, worried about delusions. Eleanor went quietly, letting the young doctor test her memory, her pulse, her mind. He smiled kindly. "Mrs. Whitmore, your health is fine. These dreams might be a way your heart copes with loss." Eleanor nodded. But when he reached for his stethoscope, he paused. "Mrs. Whitmore, what's that smell?" She smiled faintly. Roses, doctor. Just roses. He wrote something quickly on his notepad, but she knew he wouldn't understand. Something science can't measure, like promises whispered under the moonlight. That night, the dream changed. The sky above the garden shimmered with soft pink clouds, and every rose had bloomed, thousands of them, filling the air with the scent of memory. Thomas turned this time. His face was calm, eyes bright like morning dew. "You kept your promise," he said. "I didn't know I had one," she whispered. He smiled. "You said you'd find me again. Even if it took forever." When she reached to touch his hand, her fingers brushed something real, warm, trembling. And then, she woke with a gasp. Her bed was covered in rose petals. Morning light filled the room. Claire came rushing in, eyes wide at the sight. "Where did these come from?" she whispered. Eleanor only smiled. "He came home." Claire shook her head, trying to rationalize. Maybe you brought them in?" But she stopped mid-sentence. The scent was so strong it filled the house. She reached out and touched her mother's hand, soft, perfumed with roses. For the first time, Claire didn't argue. She just sat quietly beside her mother, whispering, "Tell me what he said." A week later, the storm came, fierce, endless, howling through the night. The power went out, and the house grew cold. Claire stayed with her mother by candlelight, listening to the wind. Eleanor smiled faintly, her eyes distant. "Do you hear it? He's calling again." Before Claire could answer, a sudden calm filled the room. The candle flickered, and for just a moment, she saw him standing by the doorway, holding a single rose. Then darkness. Silence. When the light returned, Eleanor was asleep, peaceful, her hands folded, a soft smile on her face. And between her fingers, one perfect white rose. Days turned into weeks. Claire buried her mother beside Thomas, beneath the old rosebush in the churchyard. That night, Claire dreamed. She walked a long stone path, lined with white roses glowing in the moonlight. At the end stood two figures, her parents, hand in hand, smiling as they tended the garden. Her mother looked up, whispering, "See, love never ends. It only changes form." Claire woke with tears on her cheeks, and the faint smell of roses in her hair. Now, every spring, the rosebush by their grave blooms earlier than the others. Locals say it's a miracle. Some say it's just good soil. But Claire knows. Each time the wind carries that soft, sweet scent through her window, she smiles. "Keep blooming, Mum," she whispers. He's still tending the garden. And somewhere, beyond the veil of dreams, two souls walk side by side under a sky of roses, keeping a promise that never died. Some stories end, quietly. Like roses falling from their stem, or a sigh carried by the evening wind. But this one, my friends, doesn't end at all, it simply blooms again, every time someone remembers it. If this story touched your heart, stay a little while longer. Share it with someone who still believes in love that lasts beyond time. And before you drift into your own dreams tonight, remember, love never leaves us. It just waits for us. In the garden of sleep. Good night, my friends. Until the next tale.